What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my channel. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a practical level so that you can use them and you can apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results. Okay? So first thing I want to do is give you some clarity on who I am just so that you know who you're getting this information from. My name is Jeremiah James Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entire Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana archetypal paths, and I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in connection with astrology. Okay? Now, the topic of today's video is going to be giving clarity on this Kabbalistic structure, on this Kabbalistic tree. So specifically what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be talking about the entire front side of the tree, which is the Sephirothic tree, and also the Clipothic tree, and the front side is Universe A. And then I'm going to be talking about the back side of this entire tree, which is the tunnels of Set, and then the Clipoth, Universe B. Okay? So primarily there is a overarching entity that has most, I would say, most energetic dominance over Universe A of the Kabbalistic tree. And then there is a different entity that has energetic dominance over the backside of the Kabbalistic tree. So these two entities are going to be known as the Yaldaboath, which is basically an entity that is well known by the Gnostics. There are many names for Yaldaboath, but Yaldaboath is one of the most used and common names of this overarching entity that wants to be worshipped as the source of creation. So that is the archetypal force behind the Yaldaboath. And then the other entity that rules within Universe B is known as the Amalek. And this is the black dragon reptilian force that actually consumes everything that was controlled and programmed by the Yaldaboath. So if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking about between these two forces of nature that exist within this Kabbalistic structure, once again we have the Yaldaboath and the Amalek, then this is definitely your video, so make sure you stay tuned. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So let me make this as clear as I can for anybody who's watching this, okay? So a lot of you will know that when it comes to Kabbalah and when it comes to studying the Kabbalistic tree and how it functions, there is known to be two primary serpents that interweave through this Kabbalistic structure. Now, for most of you that are unaware, the world we live in today, around our planet, there is Kabbalistic influence everywhere, mainly because the people that have control of the major banking systems in our world today are all using a Kabbalistic dominated occult system of control, of basically controlling the masses. So that's not what this video is about, but that's just giving a general context of what's taking place in the world around us so that you can understand that the world around us is governed by Kabbalistic occult influence. Okay, so there is a lot of occult Kabbalistic symbolism everywhere, and that's why me personally, I study Kabbalah because we see it in the world around us today, and it's one of the most primary magic systems that's used to control the world, okay, and how yeah, I'll leave it at that. Used to control the world. Okay, so in Kabbalistic lore, it is well known that there are two primary serpents that interweave through this Kabbalistic structure. Okay, now to the average person that reads that or comes across that, they're not really going to know what that means. They're going to think it's just all mystical, and maybe they'll think it has something to do with sexual energy or whatever the case may be. And yes, it does have to do with sexual energy as well. The entire Kabbalistic initiatory system is based on empowering your sexual energy so that you can initiate through the pathways and get through one sphere to another. But these two serpents are actually very prominent and very important to understand in regards to this Kabbalistic tree. So even when it comes to the Qlippothic tree, we have the final sphere of the Qlippoth called Thamiel. And Thamiel is known as the Twin Serpent, or some will even refer to it as the Dual Serpent. And that is more symbolism of this serpent that interweaves itself throughout this Kabbalistic structure. So, long story short, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. There is a front side of this entire Kabbalistic tree, and there is a back side of this entire Kabbalistic tree. So the front side is going to look just like this. You have the Sephiroth with Malkuth, Yesod, Ho, Netzach, Tiferet, Gavura, Chesed, Binah, Chokmah, and Kether. This is on the front side. This is called the Sephiroth, Universe A. Then there is a Hell Realm that is directly attached to the Sephiroth, Universe A, and this is what's known as the Qlippoth, which in Hebrew stands for shells. Now this is the front side of the Qlippoth, so this is also in Universe A. And this Sephirothic tree is directly connected to the front side with this Qlippothic Hell Realm. Okay, so what I'm basically saying is that these are both on the front side, Universe A, of this Kabbalistic structure. Okay? So once again, you have Universe A, Sephiroth, and then you have Universe A, Qlippoth. Okay? Now, the entity that rules over this entire Sephirothic tree, which is existing in Kether, that also has control over the Qlippothic Universe A, is known as Yaldaboath. And to the Gnostics, this was basically a evil entity that wants to harvest human energy so that it can be worshipped as the source of all creation. So the Yaldaboath basically tricks the human awareness into worshiping itself so that this entity can gain as much power as it possibly can, tricking the human race to make the human race think that this is the ultimate supreme entity of all creation, when in reality that's false. There is no one ultimate being that is the ultimate supreme being of all creation. There are different aspects of source beings. There's not just one and only one. So that's what the Yaldaboath likes to influence the mass collective to believe and to think. So that entity, once again, rules at the top of this tree in the Sephiroth, and also has control over the Universe A of the Qlippoth, which is the Hell Realm, directly underneath of the Universe A Sephirothic realm. So Yaldaboath likes to shell humans within the Universe A Qlippoth to generate energy from their torture and from their suffering, putting negative pressure on them, creating anti-gravity to form new realities for the Yaldaboath. So that's what we have here. Okay, this is Universe A ruled by Yaldaboath, and Yaldaboath is one of the primary serpents that rules this entire Kabbalistic structure. That's why Yaldaboath is known to have a snake body and a lion's head. It is a serpentine force. It is just that. It is a serpentine force. Okay? That's one of the serpents. Now, the other serpent that rules in this Kabbalistic tree is going to be known as Amalek. Okay? This is one of the names that this force can go by. And to my understanding and with my own experience, Yaldaboath is pretty much one of the closest and most profound names that you can get to for this overarching force. Once again, we're talking about a force. We're talking about a spiritual force, so it can take on different names. But Yaldaboath definitely is the closest and sums up the entirety of what this force that rules the top of the Sephirothic tree is. And then Amalek is the closest name that I can find, and that, once again, from my own experience, to the other force, the other serpentine force that rules specifically the backside of this Kabbalistic structure. So, once again, we have the front of the Sephiroth and we have the front of the Qliphoth. Well, guess what? Now there's a backside as well. This is what a lot of people do not understand. This is a little bit more advanced information, but this is very real and it's very important to understand because it is being used by the highest level occultists. Okay, so there's the backside of the Sephiroth, which is called the Tunnels of Set, which is Universe B, and then there's a backside of the Qliphoth, which is called the Realm of Amalek. This is where instead of the Universe A Qliphothic realm of just all the hells where people get tortured and eternally suffer until their souls get processed and then brought to the Yaldaboath, the backside of the Qliphoth is where the Black Brothers reside. This is where the vampires reside. This is where people go into to gain power from these hell realms with the protection and the power of the Black Dragon, of the Amalek. So this is where you become a Black Brother. This is where you are a Black Magician. This is where you're gaining power from draconian forces, with the intention of gaining power. Stepping into alignment with evolution, where you realize, not everything has to do with just love and light and saving the world. Sometimes you have to destroy things to rebuild things, to make new realities. So that would be this realm, which is the backside of the Qliphoth. Once again, this is where the Black Brothers initiate to gain their power. Okay? So the overarching force of Universe B, the backside of this Kabbalistic structure, is going to be the Amalek. And you will come into connection with Amalek at the final sphere of Thamael within the backside of the Qliphothic tree. Okay? So this Amalek force, specifically during times in evolution, specifically during a Kali Yuga, which is a time of evolution where humanity is very distracted away from their true potential and from their own purpose and their source potential. During a Kali Yuga, the force of Amalek comes to harvest the energy that is being produced by the Yaldaboath at the top of the Sephiroth in Universe A. So this is a dual serpent force that is basically just an evolutionary structured system. So it's not like these two entities, necessarily hate each other and have a, an ultimate rivalry. It's not that. It's more so this is an evolutionary generator. So once again, anyone who is plugged into the Yaldaboath and is being influenced by that Yaldaboath force, where people are giving their energy away, they're worshiping this being that they think is the supreme being and the one and only creator of everything. Those are all people that are giving their soul energy away to the Yaldaboath. Throughout times in evolution, there is this Amalek force that is when you psychically view it or remote view it, it's a black dragon. It is a reptiloid black dragon force that comes around to Universe A and brings Universe B into Universe A and destroys everything that was injected with the poison of Yaldaboath, or destroys everything that has influence of the Yaldaboath. So it basically destroys the idea and people that have the idea that there is a one and only being, supreme creator that is everything. So this Amalek force is the ultimate chaotic dragon that comes to do one thing and one thing only, which is destroy everything that was inverted and infected by the Yaldaboath at the top of the tree. Okay, so in current day's time, and you can also find all this information that I'm talking about in the Jewish lore. If you study Jewish mysticism and you look up the rabbinical lore, they even mention this force Amalek, and they mention this serpentine force that comes at points in their evolution and destroys the current order, which is the order of Universe A, dominated by Yaldaboath. So in today's time, as we're in this Kali Yuga, Yaldaboath has been ruling as the supreme entity, tricking people into giving them their soul, or into giving him their soul to make, to make them think that they can get into heaven by giving away their soul to this force that tricks people to make it think it's the ultimate creator of everything. So now that we're in this Kali Yuga, we are seeing a lot of that influence in our day-to-day life throughout many different types of religions. And once again, Yaldaboath can manifest and influence in many different ways. So we see this in different areas of our life. We see people that are inverted, people that are so unaware of their potential, so unaware of their purpose. It's because they've been sucked dry by this Yaldaboath entity that has completely tricked them into thinking, they need to surrender their potential to get into higher levels of desire once they pass. But with the evolutionary shifts that are taking place right now within this Kali Yuga, we're slowly and surely starting to shift out of the Kali Yuga. So we are seeing a lot more influence right now, which is why in mainstream media we're seeing a lot of destruction take place. We're seeing a lot of breaking down of old structures. We're seeing a lot of the mass collective challenging the mainstream. It's because we're at a point in time where the Amalek is harvesting. So this black dragon is freed itself because of magicians like myself, black brothers. The more black brothers that get to this sphere, we use the force of Amalek. So we're setting Amalek to do basically our bidding. And the more black brothers that achieve Thamael state and bring Amalek to Universe A to harvest the energy from Yaldaboath, that furthers evolution for this planet. So this is actually, once again, it's this whole structured system and this Amalek and this Yaldaboath entity. It's an evolutionary system, and these are evolutionary entities. So from a human perspective, we can look at it and say, oh, like these two different serpent forces, they're arch enemies, and they're battling throughout time. But from a source perspective, this is just a cycle of evolution. This is what always happens. So the goal is to get in alignment with evolution, to get in alignment with source, okay, within yourself, so that you can be on the side of the evolutionary energy, so that you can gain value through this evolutionary shift rather than being locked in to the inverted state, which would be the Yaldaboath in this case, and then losing everything good while this evolutionary shift is taking place, while Amalek is harvesting energy. Okay? So that's where we are in today's time. This force Amalek is coming into Universe A, and it is literally harvesting energy from everything that was indoctrinated and programmed and primarily influenced by Yaldaboath. It's ripping away these inversions in the mindset. It's ripping away people's built-up realities, objective realities that were built from the front side of the tree. It's ripping those away, and it's showing them that that is not how evolution is going to continue taking place. So that's what's going on in today's time. That was just to give some clarity on these two different entities that do show up within the Kabbalistic structure. And once again, everything I'm sharing here, this is all based within Kabbalistic lore, and this has taken me a lot of time to contemplate and a lot of time to study and experience myself to even come to this conclusion where I'm sharing a video where I'm telling people publicly about this. This is really deep. This is advanced information, but if you do your own research and you do take your time to study the rabbinical lore and the Kabbalistic mysticism that goes behind how the tree was created and what forces run through the tree, And when I say that, I mean study the Sephiroth, Universe A, and also study the Clipoth. So get into the dark side of it and get into the regular light side of it as well. Get a perspective from both ends, and you will see that what I'm talking about has a lot of solidity to it. And this is also well known by some of the highest up occultists that are out here today. But a lot of people are very unaware of this information that I'm sharing. So for those of you that are, are obviously meant to take in this information and use it to your benefit, you will be brought across this video. There's obviously going to be a lot of other people that do not see this video. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciated this video and you like the content, definitely make sure you hit a thumbs up. Also, make sure you drop down, you hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can. And definitely make sure right next to the notification bell, you hit the subscribe button, because if you're not subscribed to my channel and you watch my videos, definitely make sure you do that. There's no reason to not subscribe to the channel. Let's get this content out there, And then I also want to say is, feel free to share this video with anybody that you think would be interested in this type of content. Simply copy the link and then paste it to any of your friends or family or social medias that you think would be interested. Okay, feel free to do that. All right. Without further ado, I would like to take your awareness to my Patreon. This is where you can gain access to a whole vault of exclusive content that I have that is not on my YouTube channel. All the way from practices to live streams to deep knowledge on the Kabbalistic tree. An entire magic training course, all the way up to a personal service that I perform for you. Okay, so this is all going to be accessible within my Patreon. I have it broken down into 4 tiers, so you can look at that yourself. I even have an entire YouTube video where I explain each of these tiers in depth. So where you can find my Patreon is when you go to the drop down of this video. It's literally the first link at the top. It says my Patreon right next to it. Okay? With that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to the top tier members of the Patreon. I have all their names that are mentioned below in this YouTube description. Okay, so huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And then a second shout out to all of my Patreon members in general. I highly appreciate all of you for taking your knowledge and your practices to that next level. Huge shout out. And then a third shout out to all my YouTube subscribers for really taking in and absorbing this information. Okay. The next thing I would like to take your awareness to is the second link that is within my YouTube description. This is going to be where you can book your own personalized tarot card reading with me. And that is where I can literally locate where you are on this Kabbalistic tree. I can literally pinpoint where you are on your own initiatory journey, whether you're aware of the tree or not. That's how this system works. And so far, I've done over 100 readings, and I've been able to pinpoint where everyone's located, and there's been tons of amazing feedback from these readings. It's offered people a lot of value in regards to getting clarity on where they are and where they're headed. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, which I do recommend, definitely click the second link below and book your appointment with me. Okay? The third link that I would like to take your awareness to is once again within my YouTube description, and this is where you can become a YouTube member so that whenever I do my live streams, your name appears in green and you have access to exclusive emojis that are ritualistically programmed because I created them myself personally. So I have an entire YouTube video that explains how the YouTube membership functions, and it's called Members Only. And then, or it's called like YouTube members in parentheses, and then it's followed by Psychic Warfare Program. So that's the YouTube video that I have that in depth explains how this emoji system functions. So definitely watch that if you're interested. And yeah, and tier 3 is going to be where you gain access to that. And I also give you a special shout out whenever I do my live streams. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I highly appreciate all of you, and I will see you next time. Later.